Yeah, what is going on, boys and girls? You are checking out an all new The RCWR Show coming at you all for this Tuesday night of January 23rd, 2018. What is going on, my pretty babies? It is so awesome to be back doing another episode for you guys. Honestly, we just came on like literally about less than 24 hours ago, and not really that much has transpired since last we were on the air. However, I must admit, we got some big news that had came about. So I'm sure by now y'all probably had heard what went down, but we're definitely going to be diving into it in just a hot minute. Hey, as always, I appreciate you guys that's checking me out, be it live or on demand on the downloads, however you're checking it out. Want to remind you that for the next hand batch of weeks, we're going to be simulcasting on youtube.com/the RCWR show. So shout out to those of you that's actually tuning in to see my face on YouTube. Really appreciate that. Now it's just nice little experiment. It's pretty much our way of bringing the podcast to basically the YouTube audience, because you'd be surprised, those of you longtime listeners, you'd be surprised. We have a lot of folks that apparently are not even aware about the podcast. And I keep getting asked, well, it's stopped the past couple of weeks, but I usually get asked on YouTube, man, Lee, where you been? Where you at? And it's like, I do a show Tuesday night, right? Like, what the hell, man? Like, aren't you checking it out? Obviously, they're not checking it out, but like, no, we're doing this as an experiment, try to see if we can gauge folks. And honestly, if the numbers continue to show some type of a steady increase, then like I'll gladly go on ahead and have this be a regular thing. And I mean, so far, everything has been going pretty damn good. I do appreciate those of you that's been checking out the past couple of weeks of episodes, in particular on YouTube. It's really been, honestly, I really have been enjoying it, I must say. I still have not gotten a chance to do the new theme song for the RCWR show this year. I haven't had like a chance to sit down, get it all together. I'm hoping that like this week I'll actually be able to do it. So for those of you that usually check out the audio edition, we're running with some cranberries once again, but I don't know. I'll have to see how I'm feeling like once this stream is over. I think maybe it'll be a case where if I have the energy, maybe I'll fiddle around and I'll actually do a little something. Worst case scenario, I'm just gonna go on ahead and I'm just gonna go with the old theme one more time. But next week there's definitely going to be some new music, so get at me right now. For the next little bit, I'm going to be on the air. This isn't going to be a 2-hour show, I can promise you guys that right now. I mean, we literally were just here less than 24 hours ago talking about the 25th anniversary of Monday Night Raw. Like I said, not really too much has happened since last we were on the air with you guys, but we're definitely going to be going into some pretty good heavy topics and get you guys thoughts. But for the next little bit, I'm live. You can get at me. We have the live chat on YouTube. We also have the chat on Spreaker if you want to poke your head in there and say hello. Remember, I'm on Facebook and Twitter at the RCWR Show. Really appreciate that. So, we're talking about Raw 25 and the way it is looking right now, as I always, and if you guys are experiencing a little bit of lag, for those of you that's checking out the stream on YouTube, let me know. It's a possibility I may have too many windows open, so I'm actually closing those windows as we speak, and I should actually be good to go after this. Let me close. Actually, you know what? I kind of needed that one. Let me open that back up. All right. So anyway, yeah, going back to Raw 25, I told you we were going to kind of kick the show off talking about Raw 25. And look, forgive me if you guys didn't check out what I had to say Monday night. I'm not going to be doing the Raw recap. I'm not doing that. Pretty much what you got Monday night was all dedicated to the talk of Raw 25. But now that it's the day after, a little bit of time has settled in, Is it possible? Is it even remotely possible that maybe, just maybe, I might have been a little bit too critical with some of my assessments of the 25th anniversary edition of Raw? Is it possible that maybe I went a little bit too extreme? That I have a poor choice of words in some of the things that I had to say about that episode? Is it possible that maybe it wasn't as bad as I laid it out verbally to be? Well, I had a day to sleep on it and marinate on it all day. There was no need for me to watch it again, even though it's still on my DVR. I still feel the way that I feel, and I know there's definitely a lot of you all that feel the way that you feel about the 25th anniversary, to the point our numbers had increased drastically. I mean, it pretty much had doubled when we did the polling for you guys, asking you all what did you think of the 25th edition of Monday Night Raw. To YouTube we go. And remember, you can always find this by clicking on the communities tab section on the YouTube channel. Especially, you want to keep that in mind if you haven't cast in your vote and all that. So we asked you guys a two-part question. So the first one, how would you rate Raw 25? Be honest. So far, seeing that 17% of you gave it a thumbs up. See, 37% of you gave it a thumbs down. Meanwhile, 46% of you are staying in the middle. Now, for those of you that may be saying, well, wait a minute, Lee, don't you usually do a little something on Twitter as well? Isn't there usually a Twitter poll as well? Yes, there is. With regards to the Twitter poll, I am seeing right now, bear with me a second, haven't really put out that many tweets today. I've mainly just been kicking back, catching up on a little bit of reading. 18% of you gave Raw a thumbs up. 37% of you are staying in the middle. And 45% of you are giving it a thumbs down. Now, the polling, not over yet. Twitter, you got about 4 days left. YouTube, you could just cast your votes as much as you want if you haven't voted before. So have at it. So I thought it was kind of interesting that we had a situation occur where legendary pro wrestler Rip Rogers, he had some very interesting choice words to say with regards to the many fans that felt as though, hey, with regards to Raw 25, it basically not being booked right. He took a sarcastic tone and basically had challenged those that thought Raw 25 sucked to get a job with the WWE and to try to put themselves in a position where they could work for WWE Creative and see if they could come up with something better. That was his challenge. Rip Rogers, legendary pro wrestler, everything that he's done. Definitely, I appreciate everything that he's done for the business. Great mind, great ambassador for professional wrestling. No doubt about that. You're not going to find me saying anything negative to say about Rip Rogers. Probably the only thing I would say, with all due respect to Mr. Rip Rogers, is try to understand where the fans are coming from. Because it's one thing if you have one fan, or if you just have a little small, tiny minority of fans that feel a certain way about a particular wrestler or about a particular promotion, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But when it's like, wait a minute, this is like starting to become a reoccurrence, like every time I turn around, this is being said. After a while, especially if you're going out on different platforms and you just keep seeing that theme, like sooner or later, you kind of have to take a step back and kind of have to say, well, man, maybe these guys that's complaining, maybe they're kind of on to something here. It's not a way to. I've always had a firm belief that when you are in a situation and you're trying to gauge folks on your product, like, you're always supposed to be receptive. Yes, it's great when you get positive feedback. That is fantastic, right? But there's always room for improvement. Always room for improvement. So, as much as it's cool to always keep getting positive feedback, getting praise and all that, it's like, okay, so if maybe I could change one thing, what would it be? If there's one thing that you don't really like about the way I did the show this week, like what, it's like you always gotta gauge fans. And if you provide the platform where your fan base can be totally honest with you, and they kind of got your personality down, they know that, okay, I can definitely come to this person and I can speak from the heart, I can just shoot from the hip and be like, okay, this is what was good, this is what was not good, this is how you need to improve upon that, work on these areas. And yeah, but at the same time, you're not going to please everybody. That's the God's to honest truth. I have been doing this show since 2011, and I tell you, the show has just made leaps and bounds. And I always get a chuckle sometimes when I'm in a position where I'm reading comments on some of my clips. Basically, some parts of my show are turned into excerpts over on Epic Sports. And I always get a chuckle seeing some of the things that people are saying. And it's like, okay, obviously these people haven't done their proper research to try to figure out who I am, what I'm about, everything like that. But I always go out of my way to show respect to anybody that like maybe has a bone to pick with either something that I said or maybe the execution. Like, one thing that I'll see from time to time is I'll get, oh man, this guy is so boring. And I usually will challenge. And like 98% of the time when I challenge somebody, I say, hey, I'm sorry that like you didn't enjoy that clip. Like, what was your beef? Like, what was the problem? Can you like maybe give me a little bit of constructive feedback? What was it that you did not like? And I'll definitely do my best to like work upon it in the weeks to come. And usually, like, I don't get a reply back, or I'll get something like, well, the energy was kind of low. It really wasn't there. And it's kind of like, okay, well, you do realize I'm doing a show at like, I don't know, 10 o'clock at night. I've been like running on just like low tank energy all freaking day. It's about a little bit past my bedtime and I got to get up for work in the morning. Like, do you kind of take in those factors? But see, at the end of the day, you got people like that. They don't care about stuff like that. All they care about is getting their little wrestling fix and everything like that, and then going along their merry way, feeling more enlightened, more enriched, yada, yada, yada. They don't care about all the little logistics and stuff that goes into it. One of my best friends and coworkers, Marcus, at my day job, he asked me the other day, he said, yeah, you do a podcast, don't you? I said, yeah, have been since 2011. Is it easy? Like, yeah, is it a situation where you can just get in front of a mic and just, I said, no, my friend, it is not a situation where you can just get in front of a microphone, flip on a goddamn webcam and just talk. It's so much more than that. And I think that is sadly the biggest misconception that's put out there. But when you dedicate yourself, when you've put yourself in a position where, like, okay, this is the standard, this is what I need to try to achieve every single week. And if I get that achievement, that's great. But at the same time, I'm always keeping my eyes and my ears peeled because I want to figure out ways that I can go about improving my product. So, in the case of like WWE, look, we all know WWE, for the most part, they're not really going to take in the fan feedback that they get all throughout social media and all that. Not unless it's like, hey, we really should kind of cave into what the fans are saying here, because at the end of the day, dollar bills, they're the ones that's like putting the money in our pockets. But like, if there is a certain direction in a case of WWE, like if it's like already been put in the cement, it's already dry, and they're gonna stay that course no matter what. Very rare will they be like, okay, well, let's kind of break from that and let's try to go in this direction instead. So when you see a situation like Raw 25, and it was just so kind of unanimous how everybody just was taking a big fat massive dump on that show, I say to one Rip Rogers, that's a great challenge. I'm not sure. I'm assuming that he was being a little bit sarcastic about basically getting a job with the WWE and being part of creative and all that. But you know what? I tell you all, especially those of you that are teenagers and all that, like, don't let anybody tell you that you're not good enough. You can't do XYZ. If you put your mind to it, you stay dedicated, you can achieve whatever you want, whatever your heart desires. And when you just hear some of the stories like Kevin Owens, Bailey, I mean, hardcore wrestling fans just like you and I, and here they are now living their dreams. So, I mean, let those be testaments, just some stories, if you will. Let those serve as just a couple of testaments that anything is possible if you put your mind to it. But like when you have so many people that are being vocal about a product, they're making very valid points that should not fall on deaf ears at the end of the day. Now, look, and I think it's great that you probably have a lot of podcasts. You probably have a lot of radio shows that's out there where everybody's like, hey, how would you have booked Raw? Blah this, blah that. And like I think we all could be in agreement. Like if we really just did a consensus for like this whole week and we were just trying to figure out, okay, what was good about Raw, what was bad about Raw, you know, where's rooms of improvement, just talking about the 25th anniversary edition itself. I think if we all had got a little list together and we all, I feel, would say the same damn thing, quite honestly. I know for a fact we all would say the same damn thing, which is basically, first off, let it be one venue. Now let's go to this whole thing. Like when you hear the idea of Raw is going to be coming to you from two venues the same night, you're kind of going, well, that's a little bit silly. Like two venues. Now, see, it'd be one thing if it was a situation, and I always was kind of under the impression initially before I had heard, oh no, it's going to be airing from two venues that night. And you're kind of like, okay, well, what the hell? Like, I was under the impression before we had got the announcement that the Barclays Center, they were going to have Raw. We were going to see it. We were going to see Raw 25. And that basically, like, maybe a couple of hours later, or actually maybe earlier in the day, they did some stuff at the Manhattan Center. And unless you were on Periscope or something like that, the only way like you're going to know about that is when WWE puts out Raw 25 on Blu-ray, DVD months down the road. That's when you would know what had went down. So that is kind of what like I was anticipating, but to see how it all came about, I think we all could be in agreement. It was a little bit of a bad mistake. It was a little bit of a bad mistake for WWE to have Raw come at us from two different venues. We all could be in agreement about that. That really was not a smart move. They should have just stuck with one venue and just basically go from there. Should they have had a lot more stars? Yes. To hear that Lita was not invited, you're kind of going, wait, what? This girl just recently did a really damn good job calling the Mae Young Classic with Jim Ross, and you couldn't like figure out some type of a cool spot to put her in. You couldn't have there be a situation where she shares the stage with the rest of the girls from yesteryear. You couldn't have her there with Kelly, Michelle McCool, Trish Stratus, Tori Wilson, Jacqueline, you couldn't have her with Maria Kanellis. You couldn't have Lita have a little spot right there with the rest of the girls that night. You couldn't have Coco Beware there. You didn't give Coco Beware an invitation. I mean, we all could be in agreement that there definitely should have been more star power. There definitely should have been folks that like we hadn't seen in a really good minute. That like, damn, you know who I have? Damn, I wonder how so and so been. Like the Midnight Express. Oh no, no, sorry, correction. The Rock and Roll Express. We had the Rock and Roll Express. They had did the Starcade event for WWE a couple of months back. So like, what? We couldn't have them participate on Raw 25? I mean, I'm just saying. Now, some would kind of make the argument, Lee, Rock and Roll Express, they really didn't exactly have any. I'd say that's a very valid point, but you still could have given some type of a nod to them to some degree. You don't have Randy Orton there. Randy Orton was involved in so many critical moments on Raw. You don't have Randy Orton, and yet you do have him on SmackDown, which came to us from the Capital Bank One Arena in Washington, D.C. I'm still thinking of it as Verizon Center. I think I'm going to always remember it as Verizon Center, quite honestly. Shit, I remember MCI Center now that I think about it, but I digress. But no, like Randy Orton wasn't apparently whoever was doing the booking. Nah, we don't need him for Monday night. Oh, but we can have him show up on Tuesday night. Just deliver 2 RKOs, go stand at the top of the turnbuckle. I mean, just mind-boggling. I mean, you, me, we'd be here all night just going through, okay, this was silly, that was silly. But, you know, your man over here, I love writing stories. I've helped my friends out in the past writing together, short little novels, comic books. I've written comic books of my own. I've tried to pitch characters to all the comic book companies over the years and all that. Friends have as well. If there's one thing I know how to do really well, especially if I get the itch, and that is to sit down and just come up with a really great story arc. Okay. Now, look, let me just give you a little snippet. I'm not going to, but I'm not going to do the whole blown 3 hours of Raw. But if you ask me straight up, Lee, how would you have done Raw 25? First off, one venue only. I think for that night only, I would have had it come to you from the Manhattan Center. I would have gone on ahead. I would have done the Manhattan Center. Somehow, some way, I'll get that money back. You know how I'll get that money back? I've got my NXT TakeOver weekend. I've got my Royal Rumble weekend. I've got the night after the Royal Rumble. I'll get my money back and then some. So first off, I would have had it take place at the Manhattan Center. Yeah, max capacity, probably about 3,000 versus about 20,000 at the Barclays Center. Yeah, I know I'm going to take a hit, but you know what? It's the 25th anniversary. I'll be all right. I'll get my money back. Now, I actually sat down just off and on today thinking about some things I would have done to basically kick off the show. All right. Again, it all comes to you from the Manhattan Center. As far as my color commentators, I would have made it be assuming that his health is okay. Mentally, he is good. Because we keep hearing some of these reports about Vince McMahon, health-wise, he's not really doing too good, and he's kind of being shielded and all that. Just assuming mentally and all that, everything is still intact. He can still cut it up verbally with the best of them. My commentators would have been Vince McMahon, Jim Ross, Jerry the King Lawler. I eventually would have had Michael Cole, Booker T, Corey Graves. I eventually would have had them come on in. What I probably would have done was had the team of Vince McMahon, Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler. I probably would have had them go about an hour and a half. And then I would have given it to Cole and the gang and just let them pretty much ride it out or whatever. I still think it would have been a really great idea, though, had we kind of had a few cameos from commentators of yesteryear. Taz, just a little bit of Shawn Michaels, etc. But the way that I would have had Raw kicked off, you tell me if you all, be honest, you tell me if you all would have been okay with this. But for me, the way I would have kicked it off, I would have had Vince McMahon, Jim Ross, Jerry Lawler. They're doing their thing. They're welcoming you to the 25th anniversary edition of Monday Night Raw. You hear this music come on. I'm back and better than ever. You got Eric Bischoff coming on out, and he just got that condescending smile going on as he's walking down to the ramp and all that. And it's kind of like, Eric Bischoff kicking off Raw 25. What the hell is this about? Like, we heard he was going to be here, but like, whoa, what's going on with Kendall? Like, what's this about? And basically, the gist of it, Eric Bischoff would basically be out there talking about how miserable of a product WWE used to be, how very cartoony, how very geeky the product used to be, and that WWE wasn't giving fans what they needed because the fans were starting to grow up. They were starting to change with the times, if you will. And as all of this was happening, the tides of change, right? You've got Eric Bischoff, who becomes the president of WCW, and he's looking at the WWE and he's going, you know what? These guys are succeeding big time, but they're lacking in a few areas that, like, you know, if I really kind of stop and think about it, I can capitalize. I can tap into a certain fan base that they are not tapping into. And he just basically kind of reiterates what he had talked about on his great DVD a couple of years back, released by the WWE, just basically saying, hey, look, I sat down, got myself a legal pad, a pen. I wrote down everything that WWE had, and I wrote down what WCW had. I wrote down what WWE was lacking in and what we could tap into. WWE wants the kids. Well, WCW is going to try to go for the late teens going into the adults. They want to do hokey dokey, say your prayers, eat your vitamins type of characters. Well, we're going to kind of go in the bad guys is cool direction, right? And so, like, when it's all said and done, Eric Bischoff could just basically lay all that foundation, talk about how, you know, when WCW came along, it gave WWE a kick in the ass. And eventually WCW started to kick WWE in the ass. Their flagship show was Raw. And they just started to kick it in the ass, and WWE kind of had to take a step back and force itself to change. They had to force themselves to get with the times, or else evolution was going to pass them by. And thus, you pretty much had the birth of the Attitude Era. This ultimately could have had Eric Bischoff, great promo, mind you. I mean, the way I'm envisioning it, just all his bullet points, you know, Eric Bischoff is smart. Just give the man bullet points. He can sell it himself. All right. But I'm just picturing Eric Bischoff saying, hey, WWE, you guys wouldn't have had Raw be around for 25 years if I didn't give you the soldiers, if I didn't present to you the soldiers capable for winning the war in the end. If it wasn't for me letting go of Mick Foley, if it wasn't for me firing Stone Cold Steve Austin, there never would have been an Attitude Era. So basically, Eric Bischoff could have just spent it on himself and saying, if there was ever a man to thank for all the success that Raw has been having all this years, it is because of Easy E. All right, I've always called him Easy E. Me and my friends have like called him that for years, aside from Ken Dow. So for anybody that's like, well, wait a minute, I thought Easy E was no, that's me and my friends. That's our own little nickname for Eric Bischoff. We've always called him Easy E or a Ken Dow. Right. So that's basically how you could have set that up. Sounds good so far, right? Okay. Next thing you know, you hear the music of freaking Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman comes out one night only. Paul Heyman's got the hat on and everything. He's got the trench coat. He's just coming all out there and crap. You know, again, you're playing up to the crowd. Think about those ticket prices for the Manhattan Center. You know that all the people that was coming up out of their pockets for that, it wasn't no goddamn kids. It wasn't no, come on, little Bobby, we're gonna go see some WWE. Yeah, will Sasha Banks be there? Like, no. You saw it for yourselves. These were grown ass men mainly that were in attendance, right? So just imagine Paul Heyman coming out, and everybody's like, EC Duck, holy. All right, there you go. You've got Eric Bischoff, Paul Heyman sharing the ring together at the same time. Now, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I swear to you guys, and sometimes my memory is a little bit fuzzy, so I'm going to rely more on you guys. But I swear Eric Bischoff, Paul Heyman never shared the ring together in WWE. I mean, I'm just trying to picture something, and I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing that. Maybe you guys can kind of jog my memory if something did happen, but maybe it's safe to say they didn't really share the ring that much together. But like, that's the stuff that dreams are made of. That's what I'm talking about as far as creating moments. So anyway, you got Paul Heyman. He comes on out there, and he pretty much is like, oh, no. You forget that there was a little company that was running matches at a bingo hall that had acquired the services of one Mick Foley, Steve Austin, guys that you saw no value in, guys that you saw that like weren't worth a damn to your promotion. I took these guys in, and I really was able to do a superb job in tapping into what I felt was the beginning of their truest potential. And I pretty much had got the ball rolling. So, if anything, if anybody kind of deserves credit for the flagship show being able to maintain itself after all of these years, I kind of think you got to give me the pat on the back, because Stone Cold had his first beer in ECW, and just however Paul Heyman likes to spin it, right? So you could have had some serious conflict going down right there. And eventually you got Vince McMahon, who's just on color commentating, and he's just like, this is some straight up bull. He pretty much goes down there. And you could have kind of basically had Vince McMahon rip into those two guys, but also rip into the crowd, pretty much prompt Stone Cold Steve Austin to eventually come out, give all three of the son of a bitches a stunner. I said stunner. Give all three of them the stunner. And that pretty much is like the end of it. All right. Now, yeah, granted, as soon as you see Stone Cold come out, everybody can say, hey, man, predictable. But like, at least when you lay it down like that, just let that moment sell for itself for you guys. Holy crap. Vince McMahon, Paul Heyman, Eric Bischoff in the ring at the same time. That has never happened before in a WWE ring. Now, we all can definitely be in agreement on that. Even the diehard WWE fans that have been there week in and week out, year after year, you never, ever saw Paul Heyman, Eric Bischoff, Vince McMahon in the ring at the same time. By the way, WWE, you need ideas for the WWE Network. Table for three. Get those guys. I would love to see an hour special with those three guys, the stories that they could tell, that's a deluxe edition on DVD right there, folks. Okay. But like, that's pretty much how like you do it. All right. And afterwards, you could have had a scenario come about where Vince McMahon, he's pretty much being treated backstage at the Manhattan Center. Jerry Lawler, Jim Ross, they're pretty much doing, they're doing their thing. They're like, hey, my God, King, what happened to the chairman of the board? He was just trying to help us out tonight. My God, man, damn near got his head caught off, taking Stone Cold Stunner. And you got freaking Jerry Lawler. My God, that was just so woo. Well, however, Jerry Lawler, whatever. I got him sounding like Curly. My bad. Like woo, 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 puppies, woo, champagne. But like that could have easily taken care of Vince McMahon. Now, for those of you that's like Lee, what would you have done like if it was two venues? If you had to work with two venues? Honestly, as tempting as it would be to do two venues, I just wouldn't do it. That just would not be fair to the paying customer. I would rather it be a situation, like I said at the top, I would rather, okay, if I'm going to have two venues, then everybody's going to come to the Barclays Center. But then like maybe earlier in the day, we did something at the Manhattan Center. And like I said, if you weren't there for that event, no problem. In about 3-4 months, it'll be available on DVD. You'll be able to buy and you'll be able to see what had happened at the Manhattan Center then. Okay. I agree with some of you guys that's like, man, Manhattan Center should have got Rob Van Dam. Like, I agree. Maybe a cameo by Tommy Dreamer. I'm with you. We'd be here all night going through who would have been great to pop up, all that. We all could be in agreement. It just was not fully executed the way it was supposed to be. Also, Matt Hardy taking on Bray Wyatt, a missed opportunity, I must say, because if you were going to do two venues, as the case that WWE did, WWE had a unique opportunity to do a really cool match between Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt. They could have done Rumble in the Bronx or Rumble in New York, War in New York, however you want to freaking dub it. Basically, long story short, you could have had these two guys fight from one arena coming over to the other. Me personally, I would have loved to see a freaking scenario come about where Hardy, Bray Wyatt, they pretty much meet up outside of the arena in a parking lot. They start beating the holy crap out of each other. I would have loved to have seen some crazy, wacky stuff where they eventually get on the freaking bus. They eventually fight on the subway. I'd have loved to see some crazy stuff just go down between those two guys as they went from one venue to the other. I would have loved it if some stuff like that had went down. Also, remember what I said a couple of weeks ago. Like, think about all the greatest factions that we've had in WWE history. Now, granted, Kevin Nash, we told you less than 24 hours ago, Kevin Nash not really doing too good, just had some successful knee repair surgery. So 8 out of 10, he's probably still walking around with a crutch. So like, yeah, he's probably a no-go. But man, if you're going to do DX, like, man, surely you could do like, okay, obviously you cannot do the NWO, but it really would have been great had you been able to do the NWO. Would have been nice to see some type of a nod for Nexus. Like you couldn't, like, for one night only, you couldn't maybe see if Ryback, couldn't like do a little something, just one night only. Like him, if we're really gonna be like, oh, for all the stars that helped us out along the way, making Raw, it is what it is. We thank you. Like, just one night. Probably a big fat no, but it really would have been nice to see a scenario come about where freaking, what the hell? Wait a minute, guys. we got to get rid of a Jesus person that's in the chat here. Let's see here. We'll put you in timeout. There we go. All right, we had like a Jehovah's Witness that popped up in the chat, and it's like, hey, my friend, you're in the wrong fucking place. You can go take that near Creflo Dollar. Do that Sundays or whatever. No, but like, get back on track here, guys. We be here all night, just freaking going through freaking scenario after scenario after scenario of like what should have been. Um, some of the matches were actually good, though. I will say that. And one oversight, and I didn't even get a chance to talk about it Monday night. Freaking the match between Roman Reigns and The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. I thought that was actually a pretty damn good match. Really, really good. I felt they did a superb job. Hit a home run as far as I was concerned. Miz as the Intercontinental Champion once again. You knew you had to have some type of shock. You knew you had to have some type of value come, and Miz getting the IC title. Honestly, I had no problem with that. But what I think is like going to be awesome and challenging is how is WWE Creative now gonna bridge along Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar going at it at WrestleMania? Like, that's the finish line. So I think it's safe to say WWE, by any means necessary, they're not gonna put themselves in a position where Roman Reigns gets booed out of the arena once again. We all remember the infamous video that we saw a couple of years back, all the little montage of people just booing the hell when they had heard Roman Reigns come out. I don't think that's going to be happening again. So I'm telling you guys straight up, I just feel personally that Roman Reigns he's not going to be winning the Royal Rumble. I mean, that's a safe bet. As far as who's possibly going to be winning the whole thing, I'll actually offer Royal Rumble picks. I'll also go over the NXT TakeOver card later this week. At this point, I'm going to do something on Thursday, but I'm actually going to be doing something on the Facebook page with regards to that. So you guys better make sure you check that out. That's going to be good. But yeah, we'd be here all night just going through woulda, shoulda, coulda, wish. But we all know that the show could have been a lot better. It should have been a lot better. It should have felt much more meaningful. It should have felt much more special. But somebody told me a long time ago over the years, and it always rings true. The diehard fans will go nowhere. Diehard fans like you, me, we're going to continue to watch the WWE product. Our kids are going to be watching the WWE product. Us diehards, we're always going to be there. But the main concern is those casual fans, those fans that maybe had tuned out. They kind of grew out of that phase, and just one night after Clear Blue, they change the channel. They see that it's on, and they decide they want to see exactly what the hell is going on, what they've been missing. And they're like, wow, I haven't watched wrestling. I haven't watched the WWE in 10 years. And like, this is what I'm getting. Like, apparently I'm not really missing that much. It's not so much the diehards that concern me, because the diehards are always going to be there. And see, it could be looked at as a good thing, but it could also be looked at as a bad thing. You could look at it as a good thing because it's like, hey, with the diehards always being there, eating up whatever WWE content that comes their way, every single time WWE is going to like bring an event to your neck of the woods, like you're always going with your friends, your family. So like at the end of the day, like you as that diehard WWE fan, like you stay putting money in WWE's pocket, right? No matter what, you could get something that's just like totally crappy, but like it don't matter. Like you're always going to be there. You're always going to be investing in the product. So, I mean, on the flip side to that, that's kind of good because it's diehard fans like you and I that at the end of the day, we're continuing to keep WWE floating. We're continuing to keep them relevant. It's a bad thing because until we actually get to that position of, okay, you know what? I'm a diehard fan, but I put my foot down. This is it. Until that volume increases drastically and really stings the WWE where it hurts the most, you and I can talk about all the great change that we would like to see happen. But if we're not really, when it counts the most, just saying, okay, you know what? I'm done. That's it. I'm not investing again until like some things change. Guess what? We're going to just continue to go on this rodeo. You know, this merry-go-round is just going to continue to be endless. That's the sad part. That is the absolute sad part about this whole thing. That's why it's kind of cool to see some of these casual fans that just, you know, they come in and now right down to podcasters. I mean, really stop and think about it. Now, some people would say, I disappeared. I never disappeared. I maybe have stopped doing streams on YouTube, but I've always, once a week, twice a week, if there's a pay-per-view, I have always talked about Raw. I've talked about SmackDown. I've always talked about wrestling. I've talked about anything else that comes to mind. I've always been there over the years, consistently. But you have other podcasters, other radio show hosts that, man, the product just, oh my God, this sucks. And their whole show was built around talking about that one thing. And because it's become so unbearable for them to watch, they decide, okay, you know what? I'm just going to hang it up. I'm done. Maybe once every 2 years when something like monumental happens, they might be back and they'll ride that buzz for like about maybe 2 weeks, 2 months or whatever. And then the next thing you know, they're gone once again. That's just how it always is, sadly. So just a little bit of food for thought. Yeah, I don't mean to get all psychoanalysis like that, man. But like, if you really stop and think about it, that's pretty much what it's pretty much come down to, man. I want to take this time out. Thank those of you that's checking the stream out right now, however you're doing it, where you're checking it out live on YouTube or you are tuning in via Spreaker. Appreciate you guys that are listening. Yeah, man, really enjoying the show so far. So we are almost at about the 50-minute mark, give or take. All right, so a few more topics we can get into. Let us dive into the meat and potatoes of this episode 570. We're titling it, How You Doing? Not too good, apparently. That is what we are titling it. So we have this news that came about with Enzo Amore. The difference that a day makes, especially in one's life, in one's livelihood, in one's career. Enzo Amore has been fired by the WWE. I really just want to put a nice, pretty ribbon around this. I want to make sure that I hit all the points. First, let's kind of get those of you that maybe haven't been checking out the news feeds and all that, because you'd be surprised, guys. Not everybody is like getting their fixings like you and I, okay? So let's kind of get people caught up to speed. And I promise you, after we get people caught up to speed, I will just marinate on everything that has come about, and we're gonna go. You're gonna love the way that I tackle this. All right. So this is probably like, other than the whole CM Punk thing, this is probably for me like, it's probably going to be a good defining moment for the show. All right. So let's rewind it back. So Enzo Amore, he has been accused of rape, and originally he was suspended by the WWE. Pretty much go into less than a day later, however, and the man basically was terminated by the WWE. He was fired. So you have this woman who is on Twitter at the handle Miss Gucci Witch. Her real name, Philomena Sahin. Hopefully that is how you pronounce it. If not, I mean no disrespect. So she had posted basically a couple of tweets, basically saying Enzo Amore, real name Eric, earned it, had raped her in the early hours of October 19th of last year at the Clarendon Hotel down in Phoenix, Arizona, with the aid of Tyler Grosso and Twitter user Too Poor. That's the name of the Twitter user, Too Poor. All right. So I'm not going to rehash all the stuff that she had said, and she said this, and all. I'm not going to go into all that. Well, I tell you what. One piece I do want to kind of pretty much get into. Okay, so the way it came about, she pretty much was interacting, I want to say, with Too Poor. Too Poor was basically like looking for sex or something of that nature, and she's like, oh well, hey, hit me up, let's go back and forth, let's exchange some info, tell me where you are, tell me where you're located, blah 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 blah. And pretty much that's how they had hooked up. All right. So this girl Philomena, she eventually goes on over to this hotel. And apparently, now her account has changed a couple of times. Somewhat consistent, but seems like each time she gives these interviews, all of a sudden something new like drastically gets added and all that. So like originally she says that, she went to the hotel, they did weed, they did meth, and they did some other stuff. They drank, and that maybe something was up with the meth. Maybe it was too strong, because the next thing you know, she's on the sofa and she passed out, and she could kind of remember hearing and experiencing Enzo basically saying, man, you should be up on this. You should be up on this dick. I got like 1 million Instagram followers and you ain't all on this. What's up? And, she's kind of like in and kind of coming out of it or whatever. Apparently, she woke up at one point. Enzo's on top of her. Another time she wakes up, she sees that there's a used condom not too far from her. Enzo's basically saying, oh, man, thank you so much for bringing this girl here, man. Oh, this is such a great little, easy little fuck. I can just have my way with this girl, man. I can just throw her all over the place. I'm gonna tear her up. I'm gonna rape the shit out of her. Right? This is supposedly what Enzo is saying. He's gonna rape the shit out of this girl. And they're going, damn, dude, that's messed up. Like, you can't be serious. Hell yeah, I'm serious. I'm gonna handle my business. I'm gonna have me some of this. I'm gonna take my piece. I'm taking that. I don't give a fuck. Y'all do what you want to do. You can watch, you can tag team, you can get in here, you do whatever you want. I'm hitting that. And they pretty much was like, oh man, that's cool, whatever. Yeah, we're out of here. All right, well, you guys have fun. Bye. You can't make this stuff up, folks. You just can't make this stuff up. All right. Now, she did interviews left and right. She did interviews with Fightful. She did interviews with Fort Magazine. She did interviews with TMZ, all this other stuff. All right. Nice, good 15 seconds of fame that she is getting right now. And look, I know we're going to have people that's going to come across this and they're going to want to feel a certain way, especially with this whole Me Too movement that's going on. All I have to say, stay with me. Let's just get everybody caught up and we are going to just dissect the hell out of this. All right. How I present it to you at the end, only thing I'm going to do is just have you walk away from me at the end of this podcast, kind of feeling a little bit more enlightened and just honestly kind of going, well, I didn't really consider that. I'm going to do my best to have you look at things from all perspectives. That's my job here. All right. So, as it stands right now, let's recap to you guys some of the things that she had said. All right. So, one of the tweets that she had put out, okay, it's been long enough, and I have been so scared to share this. I was raped in mid-October by the WWE Enzo Amore and Tyler Grosso and Tupor. Tupor let it happen as accomplices. Tyler and Tupor, they pretty much had let it go down. They were pretty much accomplices during this ordeal. I was in a mental hospital for 45 days after it. They are not good people. And she would follow that up. Apparently, Tupor had put some type of stuff out there, and she had said, like, your side of the story matters at all. You said if I wasn't down to suck your dick, we could just hang, but instead you drugged me and left me for dead. Most people only blame Enzo, but believe me, Tyler and Layla were 100% aware and involved. And hopefully, if these charges go through and they all get prosecuted, I'll feel so much better. I love you. Thank you so much. Now, as it stands right now, guys, no charges have been pressed or has been forthright just yet. Now, this girl that is the accuser, she claimed on Twitter that she reported the situation, went to an emergency room within 4 days after the incident in question, and that a rape kit was done at the hospital. They did a swab, all that. They checked her out. All right. So, I mean, just to kind of, when you go do the rape kit, they are pretty much taking pictures. They are taking swabs. They are collecting samples, all of that. They're looking to see if the vaginal walls were torn, damaged in any type of way. It's very easy for doctors to be able to tell whether or not that, okay, some stuff actually did, go down. We can tell that this person was actually raped. They also will check the rectum as well to see if it was torn in any type of way, if they were sodomized in any type of way. I don't mean to be so explicitly graphic, but I'm just keeping it 100 with you guys. All right. So WWE, they had issued a statement, and pretty much it leading up to Enzo being fired. One of the statements that they had first put out was WWE has zero tolerance for matters involving sexual harassment or sexual assault. Until this matter is resolved, Enzo Amore has been suspended. Fast forward to Tuesday afternoon, WWE had announced that it came to terms on the release of Enzo Amore. And the way it's looking right now is that WWE, according to multiple outlets, were upset at Enzo over the fact that this guy knew about this. He sat on this like at least 4 days after this girl did the whole rape kit test, got in contact with the police. He knew about it from late October on, and he did not get in touch with WWE lawyers, WWE upper management. Who knows? Maybe he thought this was nothing. Maybe he thought it was not going to pick up any steam whatsoever. I've always lived by the motto, don't think, no. Do not assume, know for a fact. And maybe that was the case of Enzo. Maybe he just was like, I don't think this is going to pick up any steam. This isn't going to pick up any legs. This is whatever. So for WWE to feel the way that they felt is justified. Like, you got to just think from a business standpoint. And I know we got like a lot of young folks that's like, ah, man, Enzo, like, this sucks. It's like, you got to think about it from just a business standpoint. Just imagine if you have your own business, you bring in your employees and everything, right? They do everything that is required so that they could be eligible for being hired by you. You ask them to do random drug tests, they pass it. You ask them to submit to a criminal background check, they pass it. You ask them for references, really good references, they're able to give you those. You want a really good established work history, they're able to establish that as well. So everything that you ask of them, they're pretty much able to do this. You offer them employment, they're working for you and everything. But it's understood when you hire them that, hey, you got to always be mindful of your surroundings, because even when you are like off the clock, you're still like kind of representing my company. So make sure that you present yourself accordingly when you're out in public. And if you do some type of a situation where, who knows, it's a situation like with what went down with this girl. Like, as soon as you know that this individual went to the police, it's your job at that point to like go right to your employer and say, look, it may not be nothing, but y'all may want to just like be on the 411, or you maybe want to be on the up and up about this info I'm giving you. But I'm telling you, man, it's probably nothing. But I hung out with this girl, some stuff had went down, and now she's talking about rape and all that. And an employer likes it when you bring information of that magnitude to them so that they can decide at that point, okay, well, what do we do? Should we like step in? Should we quietly come in? And should we do our own respected investigation and try to see like how much intel the police have? And like, there needed to be that conversation with Enzo. Okay, how serious is this? Be for real with us. How incriminating is this? Like, does she have any type of evidence whatsoever that backs up these claims that she's putting out there? Like, you got to be for real. Like, what's going on? And you've already got conflicting reports as well that are talking about how WWE has had repeated conversations with Enzo about certain people that he hangs out with, and then basically kind of saying, hey, man, think about your image, think about what you're putting out there. Like, you really shouldn't be associating yourself with these type of people. And here's a situation where, it's safe to say that WWE did try to, without trying to be his parent, they were trying to steer him in the right direction, but he decided that he was going to act accordingly. I'll get back more to Enzo in just a little bit. Let's finish up with some more of what this woman had to say. By the way, Enzo's lawyer did put out a statement. His attorney is Timothy Eckstein. And the statement reads, over the last 2 days, Philomena Shaheen has made multiple public accusations against Eric, including allegations of sexual misconduct concerning an October 2017 incident in Phoenix, Arizona. Eric Foley and unequivocally denies those accusations. He is cooperating with the authorities in this matter and looks forward to having it resolved in a timely manner. Neither Eric nor his counsel will be making any further public comments on this matter. So Enzo was in Arizona at the time of this accused rape on October 19th. He was actually attending a concert, a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert in Glendale, Arizona on the 18th before a day off and traveling to St. Louis for a WWE show the next day. All right. Now, following the accusations, like I said, Shaheen, she had spoke to many outlets, Fightful. She spoke to Forbes, TMZ. I mean, she pretty much was just all over the place. And I'd like to give a nod to Fightful. Fightful actually did like a really good job interviewing her. Any questions that you may have, like, well, what about this? What about that? And she pretty much was like really candid, pretty much putting all the information out there. She works apparently as a Snapchat model. Meanwhile, you've got this one dude. Oh, here's the kicker here, folks. Here's the kicker. So she eventually came clean and said that there was like some guy that she dated a couple of years ago, and apparently she lied to this guy, said that she was pregnant and that he was the baby daddy, and that was a lie. She did like this whole spectacle video about how she lied about her pregnancy. This pretty much was the result of the ex-boyfriend breaking up with her, something to that effect. So she was trying to figure out how to like get revenge on this guy or whatever. She admits that she takes a variety of medications for depression. Says she's been on depression medicine since the age of 14. She suffers from depression, anxiety. She's also bipolar. Uh, my God, I mean, this girl just now, with regards to the whole fake pregnancy, she claims that she was off all her medicine at the time when all that went down with her fake pregnancy, but that currently she's been okay. She's been taking her medicine now for the past 6 months. She doesn't feel as crazy as she used to be. So you're kind of hearing that and you're like, what the hell? Now, one guy that has come to surface, this is important. I hope you guys are like staying with me so far. So there's this one guy by the name of Sam Cooke, who apparently used to be a friend of Shaheen, not anymore, as Shaheen has decided to cease all communications with him. He's been catching a bit of heat for just being associated with this girl, and he pretty much had put out a video saying, no, 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 no. Before you guys come at me with the hating and all that, let me tell you something. What this girl is putting out there about being raped by Enzo, it is a load of bullshit. And he goes through like a long 12-minute video, but it really gets good right at about the 7-minute mark when he pretty much shows a series of private messages that his female friend had with this girl, Shaheen. And like, this is what I don't understand, guys. I'm trying to wrap my brain around it as I'm speaking, but like, this is what I don't understand. If you say that you have been raped by an individual, keyword rape, right? You say you've been raped by an individual. No way are you going to be sending a text message to a friend boosting about how you fucked And repeatedly, you mentioned how you fucked a WWE superstar and how you're actually laying in the bed with them right now, and how cool and how awesome it is, and how the sex was great. You're not gonna be talking like that. There's not enough bipolar. Oh, I'm so depressed. There's not enough of that in the world. Okay, I'm not seeing anything about schizophrenic. I'm not seeing anything about bipolar disorder, multiple personalities. I'm not seeing any of that. Okay, so how we go from fucked to rape, I mean, that is like a huge 180. So there's some inconsistencies right there. And some of these text messages that this young man was able to show from his friend's phone that had the private messages in question. Apparently, he had relinquished everything that he had to the police or something like that, and that there was even more information, but that he wasn't going to release it on YouTube. If you ask me straight up, I'm not really getting the vibe that this kid wants 15 seconds of fame. I think honestly, it's just a situation where he's done. He seems man enough to admit, hey, I've done some really messed up stuff in the past, but like what's currently going down right now, like, no, this is not right. This is not cool. And this young man is imploring to this girl, hey, man, come clean. You need to like do the right thing here, because you're messing with one's livelihood. You're messing with one's career. What you're doing is just, it's so off base. It's so fucked up. It's so wrong. Like, come on, dude. Like, seriously, get your fucking self together. Get yourself cleaned up and all of that. So, why is this girl basically saying rape and all this other stuff? Well, everything kind of basically ties back to her parents. I believe it was her dad in this case. I'll rely on you guys in the chat to correct me on anything that I've been saying so far. But I think for the most part, the bullet points I'm pretty much kind of remembering right. The dad basically had the GPS tracking on for her phone, and he basically was able to figure out, that night that she went to the hotel, he was able to figure out, hey, she's not where she's supposed to be, because at that point in time, she actually was supposed to be in rehab. So wherever she was staying for rehab or whatever, that's not where she was. And the dad's like, what the hell is going on here? Like, you need to go to rehab, like, or else you're not coming back in the house. You're not coming to stay here. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, where the hell you been? And she pretty much went into this whole rape thing as a way to basically dodge responsibility when it's all said and done. So, that's pretty much where we're kind of at right now, which is honestly just kind of really weird, very disturbing, very just weirdest shit I've ever come across in all my years that I've pretty much been doing this show for you guys. All right. I don't think there's anything else I need to add with regards to this girl. Is there? I really don't think there is. But the video, you guys definitely need to check out. Now, let me just really dissect the hell out of this, and let me really keep it at 100. Now, I put out a tweet earlier, and it's been picking up a lot of steam. Everybody's been like retweeting the fuck out of it. Everybody's been liking it. And I've seen some people that want to try to find a couple of little snickering hee-hees to say. But the tweet that I basically had put out, wow, and so far it's got 51 likes, 1 retweet. I said, and I quote, make this girl submit to a lie detector test, dig into her credibility, get subpoenas for her cell phone for the nights in question, get records, videos, text messages, cameras from the hotel, the works. You got her on defamation of character, pain and suffering, lost wages, and more. And that's the God's the honest truth. Now, some people wanted to have a little bit of a snicker and they wanted to go, oh, well, a lie detector test. A lie detector test isn't admissible in court. First off, do your research. It actually is admissible in a few states. Now, I did research to see if, where they are, the incident in question, if it's possible that a lie detector test results, it could be good to go in court. I'd have to double check, but I'm kind of like 75% certain that the lie detector, the test results, like it would be fine for a court out there in that respected jurisdiction. Okay. The main point that I was making, though, with regards to the whole lie detector test, 75% more accuracy wise is like the best you can get from a lie detector. What I basically was saying with regards to the lie detector is, okay, look, dude, you and your lawyer build up enough freaking ammo. There are like so many holes that like you can freaking poke through this. And like, if Enzo's willing to submit to a lie detector test to try to prove his innocence, this girl is willing to say, hey, look, I'll take a lie detector test. Like, I am just like, I think she would flunk the lie detector test so bad. So bad. I'm not looking for the test results for that lie detector to be submitted to court. If anything, it is just icing on the cake for everything else that 9 times out of 10, Enzo and his lawyer are going to be doing with regards to getting the subpoenas for the cell phone, checking all of the text messages, if any videos were sent, any pictures that maybe had been deleted, they aren't retrievable. It doesn't matter if you wipe your phone freaking clean, like stuff is always retrievable. So like you could do whatever you want with that phone. You think you got it wiped, they're going to be able to retrieve stuff. You are so fucked. They'll be able to pull up records and check out ping towers. They'll know where certain individuals were at certain times, cameras from the whole. I mean, you just combine all of those things. That's how you're really going to be able. And I strongly feel, and this is what blows my mind. In a day and age right now where like if you are a female, it should feel so riveting to be in this era that we're in where more and more women are being vocal about, hey, this person had sexually harassed me and like they sexually assaulted me. Like that is like so wrong. Like, and more and more and more we've seen women that have put their foot down and been like, no, like I'm tired, I'm not going to be silent anymore. I am not going to continue to be a victim in silence. I'm going to speak. And we've seen so many women unite and come together, and like everything that had went down with Bill Cosby, it pretty much had really got the ball rolling of this whole Me Too movement. So you get this whole empowering movement that's coming about, and it's really cool seeing it all come down. But then, like, what I'm finding really disturbing is if I don't like you, if you piss me off, I may not like you because you got more money than me. I may not like you because you got a nice car, you live in a good life, and like, I don't like your ass as a result. Damn. Now I'm consumed with how am I going to hurt you? Because I'm so jealous of what you have. Well, shit. I'll just say You raped me. Yeah, yeah, that's how I'll be able to hurt your career. I'll just be able to go on ahead and say, hey, man, you raped me. That's the point that we've gotten to now. Now I'm going to tell you guys a really cool story. Peep this for a few ticks. Tammy's friend's son, who is in high school right now. I think he's in his senior year in high school. There is this girl that has been dubbed the school slut. Now, initially, this girl, she had the hots for the son. We'll call Tammy's friend Nicole. All right, we'll call her Nicole, and so we're referencing Nicole's son, right? Gifted kid. He's got a bright future ahead of him. He's going to be one hell of a football player. Let me tell you, he's got a really bright career ahead of him. So the school slut figured, oh, if I put a couple of moves on, eventually I can get young man's phone number. We'll be talking. I'll be his steady main squeeze. That's what she was thinking. All right. So I guess she was fine at the time, and he didn't really know about all the other crazy stuff that was coming about. But like, he did try to keep her at an arm's distance. This is a young man that has a long ways to go as far as relationships, potential marriages, long way to go before he starts thinking about kids, all that. But he is at that age. We've all been there where we're thinking about girls. It's all we can think about. Girls and this thing called sex and the weird, funny reactions we get downstairs, right? So, he's trying to figure his way out through all this. And long story short, this girl just like all of a sudden she starts sending like these explicit photos of herself. Well, main man kind of realizes, man, this girl's kind of out there. Something is not quite right with her. Let me like leave her alone. So he's talking to one of his friends one day, and somehow the nude pictures of this girl gets brought up, and the friend's like, "Whoa, she's been sending you pictures too?" It's like, "Yeah, what you been getting something as well?" Like, "Yeah, damn, who else got some?" And then they started comparing notes, and then the next thing you know, it's like they weren't the only ones. So this young girl mentally is not all right in the head, mind you. She is sending pictures of herself to like pretty much every boy that she likes, and thus that's how she got the nickname in school. Hey, it's the slut. She's the school slut. And you know how you can do little video stuff on Snapchat and all that? Well, she's also been on Snapchat posting explicit videos where she's masturbating, right? And it's like, oh, what the hell? There's a point I'm making to this now. Y'all should be with me so far. So now, since she was not able to get a hold of any of those boys to be their boyfriend and be sexual with them and everything, since they all decided, okay, you know what? She is fucking wacko. We need to stay away from her. Now she's decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to get those boys back. And how does she get those boys back? She went to the school principal and all that, went to her parents and basically claimed that 5 boys, Nicole's son being one of them, had took part in raping her. And I tell you, what ended up happening, Nicole, who got with the principal, was like, look, my son didn't do any of this crap. Like, what the hell? And the principal's like, you got to give me some type of smoking gun. You got to show me some text messages. You got to show me something. So, um, I I think I can say this. I don't think I'll get her in trouble. But she had a cop friend that owed a favor. And basically they were able to pull like all the text messages, all the text messages from the girl's phone. And they also were able to somehow retrieve what the son basically was sending and receiving, and checkmate. They got the girl. They got the girl. Now, I haven't followed up with Tammy since to find out, like what had became of that girl, but I know for a fact that they were able to retrieve everything, and it basically had proved that the son, is innocent. Like, he tried his best to, like, he was telling her in black and white, leave me alone. I don't want to know you. I don't care to get to know you. You need help bad. Like, you need some psychiatric help. I mean, he was sending her text messages like that and saying, leave me alone. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that don't sound like somebody, yeah, come on, like, go to my car and, yeah, we can hang out after. None of that. And he's a good kid. Everything that I've learned about, really, really good kid. Like, all he cares about is football. That's it. Yeah, he's at that age where he's discovering his puberty, his body and all that. But, like, if he's not thinking about girls, he's thinking about football. And what young guy hasn't been there, especially if you haven't been sexually active and you got all the funny stuff going on down there and you're not sure what the hell's going on. So I bring that up because I am amazed how in 2018, you, me, average Joe walking down the fucking street, like, not a care in the world. It's like you try to be respectful to those that you come across along the way. I don't have no enemies, but then all of a sudden, somebody's mad because of your success. Somebody envies you, and they just try to figure out ways to sabotage that. And they think of whatever. Boys and girls, can you answer a question for me? What in the blue hell happened to innocent until proven guilty in a court of law? I am just appalled. I am just like, what the fuck? Not just in the case of Enzo. Now, look, I get why WWE fired him. I get that. I totally get that. I really do. Because it's like, dude, you were sitting on this since late October. What the fuck, man? How you gonna, like, make us look embarrassing like this? Like, we're a publicly traded company and we've got all these sponsorship deals and all that. How you gonna do us like this, man? After we've been good to you. Like, how the hell, how the hell are you gonna do this to us? I get that. I totally get that. But somebody please explain to me, in this day and age that we live in, what in the blue fuck happened to innocent until proven guilty in the court of law? That's not me trying to be a liberal. That's not me, trying to play a safe side. It is no different than you or me. Never bothered anybody in the fucking world, right? Good family man. You go to work, you work hard, you work busting your ass off trying to provide for your family. You're doing the best you can to save up your money, and you just rub one person off the wrong way. Maybe it could be somebody that was very friendly towards you. You tried to be friendly towards them. They say, hey, how about we go out for some drinks? You're like, hey, that sounds pretty good, but I'm married, so I don't want my wife getting the wrong idea. Oh yeah, no, I totally understand. I totally understand it. Yeah, cool. You think that's the end of it, and then just 7 months later, you get called into the freaking boss's office, and you're told that they've got to suspend you because that girl that you said, oh, no, I'm sorry, but I'm married, is accusing you of rape. And then to make matters worse, your boss decides that they don't want to be under the scrutiny. They decide to let you go. And it's like, wait a minute. It's like, but that's just an accusation. Like, I didn't do anything. Don't I get my fair chance to vindicate myself? See, that's the sad part about this. Like, everybody is so quick to jump the gun on guilty, but you don't. That's the fucked up part. And this is one thing I've noticed in our society, and it will never change. We as a society are so quick to jump down people's throats when, hey, they're doing something wrong, and we're so quick. But when it counts the most, and oh man, did we mess up? Man, we had no business ganging up on that person. Man, it turns out they were innocent. They didn't do anything wrong. Oh man, we owe them an apology big time. Everybody is so quick to throw stones and, oh, he should lose his job. Oh, yeah, throw him to the wolf. Oh, that predator. Oh, look. But when you flip it and the person is actually innocent, that same level of passion that came from all those other people, it's like it's not even there. It's messed up when you think about it, man. It really is. But I mean, look, you ask me straight up, Enzo was a really great talker while he was in the WWE. He was a really great talker. I remember seeing the tail end of his run in NXT. I couldn't wait for him and Cass to come up the main roster. And it looked as though they were really firing it up on all cylinders. Started to get a little bit concerned when they had Big Cass break up for Enzo. Now, in retrospect, I could kind of understand why. Maybe the writing was just on the wall, and it was kind of like, okay, you know what? We kind of believe more in Big Cass, but yeah, Enzo's got a little something going on there, man. That damn mouth of his, man, that's got people glued to him. I think we can kind of do something with that. Played a very integral part in the cruiserweight division. Let's be honest. The cruiserweight division has been on his shoulders these past couple of months. Ever since he started helping out the 205 Live division, he pretty much was the heartbeat of that. You got no Austin Aries, you got no Neville, you got nobody. You've got nobody that you can basically build around. And Enzo was, after Neville, after Austin Aries, it all pretty much had came down to Enzo. And now you take that, you literally rip that away from 205, and you've got nothing now. You want to say next man up, but it's like, out of what? You ain't got nothing to work with. So, something about him ever since he went down to 205, like it just, I don't know, maybe you could kind of make the argument he was just kind of spitting the same rhetoric. He wasn't really delivering the promos like he used to. I'm not really sure. I can't really put my finger on it. I don't really want to speculate like that, but just started to kind of lose that uniqueness, started to kind of lose that glow for me in the later months. And even at that, he just wasn't enough for me to keep the TV on. It was kind of like, 205, time for a bathroom break. So for me, now notice the words that I'm saying. I never said anything about I had a problem with his in-ring ability. Never said anything about like, oh, the way he did people at a convention, he acted like an asshole. So no, just wasn't really my cup of tea in the later portion of his career. But you kind of feel for the guy. You can't help but kind of, given the circumstances, you can't help but feel for the guy. There are a lot of holes in this girl's story. There are a lot of inconsistencies, and I feel he's going to be able to clear his name. But sadly, when it's all said and done, the damage, it's already been done. There's no way you're going to be able to get back to good. I hope that this young man was able to save as much money as humanly possible. I would imagine the shoot industry, they're probably going to be pretty ecstatic to have him. We'll wait and see, but it's just sad when you really stop and think about it. It's just really freaking sad, all the stuff that came about with this man. I mean, seriously, I hope he's able to really bounce back from it. I definitely want to know what you guys think about this whole Enzo ordeal. So you can post your comments either in the chat, or you can get at me on Twitter, Facebook at the RCWR Show. Let's see, what other topics can we get into before we get ready to wrap it up? I mean, that pretty much was a big bulk of everything that we're talking about here tonight. I see something Razor saying in the chat. Enzo just didn't have over opponent to level up against him on mic or character wise, in my opinion. Yeah, that's one good assessment. I could definitely take that to the bank, cash that. Just looking at some other points that were made. I like this one comment with regards to the whole Enzo ordeal. This one guy in the forum had said this. He said, "I'm digging through her Twitter timeline and she's full of shit. If she was raped on October 27th and spent 45 days in the mental hospital, how is she on Twitter only 2 weeks after the rape? And checking her timeline, her behavior does not indicate in any way that she has been a victim. Additionally, she actually retweets Too Poor, one of the people she claims helped get her raped after the alleged rape took place. I do not believe her for a second. I mean, I'll go a step further than that. If somebody is claiming how, oh, they were raped by this person, blah, 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 what person do you know in their right mind would say, oh, hey, look, Bomb, I made it on Forbes? I don't know about you, but like, if I was a raped victim, I wouldn't be saying, "Oh, hey, look, I made it on Forbes. Oh, hey, look, Jimmy Fallon wants to talk to me about." No, no, this isn't something that like you kind of make a joke out of. This isn't something that you just go all full blown lighthearted on. So yeah, I looked at her, and I'm usually a really good judge of character because remember, guys, all my years that I spent in security, doing a little bit of bouncing work here and there, I've always had the mindset of reading people. You know, big. I mean, I'm doing that to this day, even now that I'm out of security and I'm at my day job here, been at my day job for the past 7 years. I still am reading people. I have to get a sense of a person's speech. I have to get a sense of a person's personality, their character traits. I still have to pay attention to body language and all that. And just the stuff that I was seeing of this girl, in particular in the TMZ video, I've seen a little bit of her stuff on YouTube, but like I'm kind of going, no, this doesn't feel right. Something feels way off here. I'm not buying it. You know, she comes off to me extremely deceptive, extremely deceptive. So yeah, but I thought that was a very interesting comment. Now, for those of you that may be a little bit curious, as far as rape penalties go, if convicted of rape, which I don't think is going to happen to Enzo, but the penalties can vary according to circumstances and evidence provided during the trial. Across the United States, the average prison time for rape is between 8 and 9 years, and in some circumstances, statuses limit the amount of time off for good behavior a convict may receive. Others require that a high percentage of the sentence be served by the offender before becoming eligible for parole. In general, the sentences for rape, sexual assault mirror the same range of penalties for crimes such as robbery, extortion, racketeering, and major drug convictions, carrying far greater sentences than those for crimes like burglary or manslaughter. In fact, under certain circumstances, a rape conviction may result in a life sentence. When the convict has served his prison term, he will also be required to register that he is a sex crime offender and have the information made available to the public through the internet and local police departments. Certain sex offenses require that the registration be updated quarterly for the remainder of their lives. Now, for those of you that may also be a little bit curious about United States laws for, well, what's the 411 on somebody that's like they're lying about being raped? Like, can they do jail time? From what I was kind of able to gather so far in the US, and somebody can feel free to correct me or add on, way it's looking right now, if you're in the US and you've been found to have lied about being raped, you get slapped with some fines. Maybe you have to do a little bit of community service. It's not like the UK where you had that one woman. There was like two incidents. One in the UK. Can't remember where the other one was. Almost tempted to say the UK as well, but I'm not going to jump out there. You had a woman that had accused like 15 men of raping her or whatever. Turns out that was bogus. And I think, long story short, she ended up getting somewhere between 8 to 10 years in jail. And the other woman, I want to say, had got sentenced to 5 years, give or take. So, I wish we kind of had some laws like that implemented here in the United States. But last I had saw, you just get hit with some fines, all that crazy crap. All right. So other than that, see what other stuff can we get into before we wrap it up for tonight. Let's see here real quick. Honestly, oh yeah, hey, shout out to Raw. They did a really good strong number on their viewership for this week. I had said they were probably going to do a 3.87 million viewers. They did pretty damn fantastic. They did like 4.530 million viewers. Apparently, it's up 39% from last week's 3.250 million viewers. So that's pretty damn good. Pat on the back to them. And I think they honestly needed that. I'm curious how this coming Monday's Raw is going to be. Is there going to be a significant drop or what? And let's see. Other than that, oh yeah, I thought this was interesting. So, did you guys hear about Jim Johnston, the WWE producer? Well, he has recently taken some shots, some very interesting shots at CFO for creating the new music. So, he did an interview with Newsweek. And one of the questions that was asked of him was as follows. Newsweek said to him, "You said the last few years of your tenure, when things took a turn for the worse, that seems to correlate with WWE hiring the production duo CFO to create some of their new music. Is that fair to say?" And to that he said, and I quote, "Yes, it's fair to say. I'm not working with them, so I don't know what their directives are. All I can react to is what I'm hearing. I'm sure they're talented guys, but what's being produced just feels too homogeneous. It's just music that plays. It doesn't feel like each guy is really themed. All the women have a dance music kind of thing, and it's lots and lots of loud sound effects. What makes me the worst is not anything that happened to me or any negativity towards those composers. I feel bad for the talent trying to build careers for themselves when I just don't feel they're being served well enough to become stars. Before Stone Cold was Stone Cold, he was the ringmaster. The ringmaster's theme was something I wrote for him. The music can make such a difference in the person and how they perform. That same guy who was dead in the water as the ringmaster, couple of tweaks, different music, different attitude, and he becomes one of the most popular people in the history of the genre. I'm wondering who is working currently at WWE, who is an absolute superstar, but who, because they're wrapped in a homogeneous piece of clothing, they're stuck and can't break out. I would hope they would try to really brand each guy and each woman as an individual. So good words right there. So, I mean, he didn't exactly take a shot at CFO, but I'm actually going to kind of say he really wasn't complimentary at the same time as well. So, that's the sad part. Jim Johnson does decades, decades of work with the WWE, and to just have the tenure just get chopped like that. I hope he's able to get into the WWE Hall of Fame. I would love it if he could go in like this year. It's like, why are we making the man wait? Let him go in this year. I mean, when you read up on this guy and learn how he pretty much was working in the studio 7 days a week, always trying to come up with different types of music, and how at one point he was pretty close to Vince McMahon. I mean, they were like not like bosom buddies, but he worked very closely with Vince as far as trying to figure out certain themes for wrestlers, and then eventually he had to go through Kevin Dunn, and at least he gave Kevin Dunn credit. He was like, hey, Kevin has a certain vision. He knows how like the music needs to be for like certain guys. And he pretty much was very complimentary of Kevin Dunn, saying he has a pretty good vision, knows what he wants. I do admit that with regards to the whole CFO thing, yeah, I mean, the music, it is pretty, I hear the same thing. I mean, you think of you think of Sasha Banks, you think of Charlotte, you think of Asuka, you think of who else? You think of maybe Becky Lynch. You think of Nia Jax, yeah, the music is kind of very, very similar. Ain't it funny? The probably best piece of music that we've gotten in like the last 15 years actually wasn't even from WWE. It was from freaking Living Color, Cult of Personality. Like, I mean, if there was ever a theme that like fitted a guy perfectly, CM Punk. I mean, serious. In the last 15 years, I mean that music just crazy, just crazy. Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think a lot of the theme songs that's come about now, they're kind of, you know, not really anything impressive, quite honestly. Now, look, I like AJ Styles' theme. AJ Styles' theme, it fits him perfectly. Bobby Roode's theme fits him perfectly. Shinsuke, even though that originally was not his theme, fits him very well. All of those guys got some really great themes. Aleister Black has a great theme. Velveteen Dream has a great theme. Authors of Pain, Sanity, they got good themes. I mean, if I really kind of kick back and think about it, most of them are pretty good, but you also got like, damn, that kind of sucks. So yeah, good. But I hope he gets into the WWE Hall of Fame. That would actually be pretty badass if he was able to get in there. See. Oh, WWE, by the way. I don't know how many of you guys were aware of this, but WWE apparently they now are on Reddit. Yeah, they are now on Reddit. They had put out a press release for it and everything. They basically are talking about how there's going to be like exclusive content, stuff that you're not going to be able to find anywhere else, like exclusive video clips, kind of get a little bit of a sneak peek on maybe events, projects that they're working on, maybe for the network, things of that nature. So I've actually checked it out off and on today, and there's some pretty decent content. I would definitely recommend that you guys check it out. I mean, they don't have that much on there right now, but I'm quite sure in the weeks to come, they're going to basically figure it all out, right? So, other than that, can I offer my Super Bowl picks, or is it too early? Might be too early, yeah? I'm actually going to wait until next week, but if you ask me right now, Patriots. I know. I can just feel the hate coming from you guys right now, but that's okay, man. I still love you guys. Nah, I'm gonna say Patriots, but it's still rather early, so I'll just kind of go into it a little bit more next week. Not everybody's going to be thinking about the Super Bowl right now anyway, because I mean, it's still in like 2 weeks or whatever. Hey, shout out to those of you in the DMV area, especially those of you that either work as a contractor for the government or you work directly for the government. Thoughts and prayers go out to you guys, and resolution. I mean, it was scary because, we're based out here in the DMV, and to hear so many people kind of going, I don't know what's going to happen with this whole government shutdown. 800,000 employees affected, and like Congress was basically able to cast a vote late Monday afternoon, basically like, okay, let's have funding go until mid-February, and then this is what needs to be accomplished. Honestly, I just wish that we can just get past this silliness of, okay, well, temporarily let's do this. And no, we need better solutions. We shouldn't have to keep putting people that work directly for the government or government contractors. We shouldn't have to keep putting them in these situations where every couple of weeks, okay, funding's up. Now what? Like, I hope that honestly, what's being done between now and mid-February, there's going to be some type of a resolution in a matter that'll see funding extend more than just 6 months. It would really be great because, see, here's the thing in a nutshell, not to get all logistical on you guys, but like, if they don't nip this funding thing for the government, like, once and for all, or begin to have some type of a really cool ongoing process, and both sides can't agree, we don't get that bipartisanship, then ultimately what we're going to see happen is there's definitely going to be a loss in wages on so many fronts. Now, government employees will eventually get the money back for X amount of days that they miss work because government can't get their shit together. But contracted workers, no, they'll never be able to get that money back, sadly. And then, not to mention, you've got social security checks that are affected. You have programs like Meals on Wheels. Those will be affected by every single time the government can't agree, and then there's a freaking shutdown. So many people lose on so many different levels. It's not even funny. But the answer is not to increase the deficit. It is to, have successful funding go longer than 6 months. So hopefully, for everybody that is going to just continue to just play this whole roller coaster deal, I had a couple of friends that were supposed to be getting jobs working for the government, And the timing of all this that came about, it was really, really bad. Because that's the thing, sadly, too, is it's one thing if you're dealing directly with the government for whatever job that you're trying to get. But if it's a situation where you're working through a government contractor, so basically you're working with a contractor that's going to be doing the hiring for that division in the government, your start time, it can vary. I mean, many people have been like, oh man, I'm getting a job for the government, but I got to go through this contracting company. Many people don't get a start date for like a month and a half, and it's like, what the hell are you supposed to do during that time period if you're not bringing in any other means of income? So just kind of give you a little bit of insight. Also, thoughts, prayers, resolution to my peeps down in Florida. I saw that there was a crazy scenario that came about at a mall, which was really weird. And it's funny that we're talking about a mall and all that, considering, but we nobody was hurt. Apparently, there was like some bombs that were found or something like that, or some bomb went off, some silly crap like that. I'm really, really, knock on wood, glad that nobody was injured during that whole ordeal. Um, let's see what else. I think that's it. I think we could go ahead and we could say the show's done. I mean, y'all shouldn't be too sad because there's going to be a lot more content that's going to be coming your way this Thursday. I'll be on Facebook Live and I'll actually be offering predictions for the Royal Rumble. I'll also be offering thoughts on Philly's takeover event that's going to be coming up. And then, of course, whenever Takedown is coming about, I'll be live here on YouTube. We'll be talking about that. Royal Rumble weekend will be busy as well. I'll be doing an after show. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of cool, fun stuff that's going to be coming at you guys. I know next Tuesday, somehow between now and then, I'll be able to pull it off. But we have a wrestling DVD that we've got a review for you guys. We have not done a wrestling DVD review in a good minute. So we also got a book that we'll be reviewing on next Tuesday's show as well. So a lot of good stuff that's going to be coming about, man. Hey, I do appreciate you guys that had took the time out interacting with each other, throwing some comments there at me in the chat. Shout out to Austin, shout out to Bobby, shout out to Terry, shout out to Gino. And even though the Jehovah's Witness was crazy that popped up in the chat there, shout out to the Jehovah's Witness, shout out to Mark. If I missed you, shout out to Reza. Shout out to everybody. Next week, I will do nods to our Patreon members. It's always good to mention our Patreon members because they do their part in making sure that we're able to keep the shows free for you guys to check out. If anybody's interested in being a Patreon member, head on over to patreon.com/RCWR Show. Now that I've got a lot more free time on my hands, now I'm just dealing with one job. I can kick back and I can work on some content. So until I do that thing for you guys on Facebook offering Royal Rumble predictions, I'm actually going to be kicking back probably between now and then. I'm going to be doing a little bit of tweaking on Patreon. I got some audio, some stuff I'm going to be uploading. So keep your eyes peeled on that. Look out for some notifications. All right. And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead. I am going to shut this bad boy down. So YouTube, I will catch you guys for all the great stuff we're getting from WWE this weekend with NXT TakeOver and the Royal Rumble. I'm wishing you guys a very good night, good morning,